Hi, and welcome to another episode of Ask on CYC. So charity organisations, do you not stop and wonder where your money goes? Do you sometimes hesitate to donate? Yes, their posters do bring a tear down our cheek. Yes, their videos are very inspiring and encourage us to donate. But doesn't it cross your mind, where does the money go? Does your money actually reach the people that you're donating to? And that's what we're about to find out on today's episode. So please tune in. The phone number is 0416 551 292. We have with us two guests who are from Coptic Orphans organisation, and we're here to talk about what they're about. So please welcome Nermien, Riad, and Nevine, Iskander from Coptic Orphans. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you on the show. So Coptic Orphans, please, I know who you guys are, but the audience don't. So please explain to the audience what you guys are about and how did you come about in getting into Coptic Orphans? Yeah.
How I got into Coptic Orphans? Well, I'm Nermien Riad. I am the executive director and the founder of Coptic Orphans. So I got into it maybe 27 years ago. And the whole idea, Mina, was that I'd come to visit Egypt, and having lived abroad, or basically being brought up in the United States, I really felt very grateful and very indebted to God for all the good that He has given us. And when I saw children in need, well, I had to do something, and that was really how Coptic Orphans started.
Okay.
And how I got involved?
Yes,
well,
please.
basically, I had heard about Coptic Orphans, and I actually, attending the youth meetings at church. I remember Nermien actually coming once and giving a presentation on Coptic Orphans, so I was actually quite familiar with their work. And I was working away in corporate world, and I was sitting at home one Wednesday night, and my sister sent me a message via Facebook and said, "Nevine, Coptic Orphans, there's a role going there. What do you think?" And I took a look, jumped on their website, applied. That was 2.5 years ago, and I haven't looked back since.
Okay, that was a quick decision.
Absolutely. You know what? I say the biggest decision of my life and one of the easiest decisions in my life as well. Yeah.
Okay. So what are you guys about?
It's about pulling children out of poverty. It's a shame that children have to suffer such injustices in Egypt. And very clearly, God has given us so much so that we are able to help. Most importantly is making sure that the children don't have to live in such poverty and such deprivation of education or security, these types of things. So what we do is to ensure that through education and through mentoring, they can pull themselves out of poverty. It's an incredible program that has developed, and with the support of very generous Copts, all living abroad, all focused on fatherless children who are still living in their homes, so they're not in orphanages, still living in their homes, but struggling in their day-to-day life. And through our program, we focus on long-term impact. It's not enough that I feed a child, okay, great, he's happy for the day. But what about tomorrow, the next day? It's long-term impact is what our programs are about.
Sure. And is this done under the guidance of the Pope?
His Holiness has been an incredible supporter. From the days that when he was still bishop in King Mayrut, general bishop, and he and us have been working together, and now that he is Pope, he has said some very kind words about us, and actually we have a clip of what he has to say.
Okay, let's play the clip.
The idea is not to come to Egypt to see, but to come to Egypt to do. It's for 3 weeks, and most of our volunteers are college students. Some are older, young professionals. We have from Canada, from the US, from Australia.
We come to teach English, but you actually learn a lot more than you serve. You learn to love, you learn innocence, you really bond with the kids.
When I found Coptic Orphans, I thought it was perfect because I love children and it is exactly what I wanted to do.
We get to see the real life of the students and their families.
You play games with them on visitations. You really see where they come from and why they interact a certain way in class.
It's amazing. It's such a blessing to get to spend time with these kids and to learn from them and to give. These kids learn so much from us every day and I just think it's a wonderful blessing.
باسم الآب ديت ما كناش نعرف نقولها، كنا بنقولها بالعربي على طول. هم علموها لنا وأنا في البيت لما بصلي لربنا بقولها بالإنجليزي.
I know that your service very important for us, and I touched with this service from about 10 years or more.
You can do any other service, but getting this close to kids, you won't find it.
I gained an appreciation for everything that God has given me.
You need to come. Join the program. It's amazing.
I wouldn't trade the experience I had for the world.
I think the tech guys upstairs ate too much ta'amiyya, so they played the wrong clip. So the clip that they played was about the Serve to Learn. So that's actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you. So what is the Serve to Learn program?
Serve to Learn is a wonderful, wonderful program. It allows young people and young professionals to go abroad and to teach these kids, these beautiful Egyptian, adorable Egyptian kids, teach them English for 3 weeks. They're sent to the villages in the very south of Egypt, and there they are exposed and they learn real day-to-day lives, real lives of children, and the effect that they have on the children and the effect that the children have on the volunteers is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Look, I want to come back to Serve to Learn, but I thought it would be just a good idea just to get an understanding what is, since the video clip was played. But I want to go into the core of tonight's topic. I want to ask about, because a lot of people probably have this question, so how do you spend your donations?
We spend the donations that come to us on the program. So we develop programs that has a certain result. It's very result oriented. The result is keeping children in school, making sure their lessons are provided for, providing mentoring as well. So a lot of the money goes towards training the volunteers, the volunteer reps that work with the children. How would a volunteer rep work with a child who's been traumatized because of the death of a father? How does one volunteer work with a mother that is feeling very insecure about having lost her husband? These are very difficult and very delicate things that we work on. And so it does take a lot of training. It takes a lot of consulting. It takes a lot of research. And so providing all of this, and then in addition, of course, is how effective is our work. So donations are spent on monitoring the work that we do, evaluating the work that we do, improving the work that we do, because in the end, these are people's lives that we're dealing with.
Sure. Just a reminder to our viewers, the phone number is 0416 551 292. Please, if you have a question about the charity organization of Coptic Orphans, please, we have two lovely guests with us. Ask the question tonight and it will be answered for you live on the show. So we're just about to go to our clip about the Pope, His Holiness. Stay tuned.
أنا سعيد إن أنا أشترك وياكم في خدمة أنا أقدرها كثيرا وخدمت فيها وكنت برعاها لما كنت في البحيرة في دمنهور في كينج مريوط في مرسى مطروح والخدام والخادمات اللي بيخدموا هناك على علاقة شخصية بيا فيها وأنا عارف إن خدمة الكوبتيك أورفان خدمة رائعة تتم في الكنيسة القبطية. خدمة كوبتيك أورفانز مثال جيد ورائع للخدمة اللي فيها صفات معينة.
من الناحية الإدارية excellent 10/10. ومن الناحية الفعلية والتلامس مع احتياج معين في الشعب 10/10 أيضا. ومن ناحية الاستمرار، استمرار الخدمة، ومش استمرار وبس، ده استمرار مع نمو. زي ما سمعنا ان بنحتفل بمرور 25 سنة على تأسيس كوبتيك أورفنز، يعني اليوبيل الفضي، وتخدم 30,000 طفل ويخدم فيها 400 متطوع زيكم مع استاف الإدارة في أكتر من مكان في العالم. نموذج حلو في الإدارة. أتمنى أن هيئتنا الكنسية تحتذي بيه وتمشي زيه. أنا بحس أن الكوبتيك أورفنز بكل الاستراكشر بتاعها والخدام والمتطوعين والاستاف اللي هنا واللي بره بينطبق عليهم آخر آية جت في رسالة كورنثوس الثانية. بولس الرسول قال كده: أخيرا افرحوا، اكملوا، تعزوا، اهتموا اهتماما واحدا، عيشوا بالسلام، وإله المحبة والسلام يكون معكم.
So now that we've seen the clip of the Pope and what he says about you guys, it's lovely. I want to ask you my second question for the night. So why is it important that you guys have admin fees?
That's an excellent question, Mina. Any successful organization that is to sustain and to grow has to have admin fees. Our admin fees are actually 10%, comparatively very low compared to other nonprofit organizations, Save the Children, huge organizations, and some medium-sized ones as well. But I think, Mina, the bigger question is, how effective is the 90% that's being used on programs? And this is the part that we really focus on, because in the end, if we're not getting results, doesn't matter how much money is spent left or right. The important thing is the effect and the long-term impact on the children's lives.
So how do you keep your costs down? Like, how can we guarantee that the money we're donating is not just going to your admin fees and costs?
So, Mina, we truly believe we're stewards. At the end of the day, we're stewards of the donations and the finances that come through to us. So we are so careful with the money. At the end of the day, we know every dollar that we save in admin costs is an extra dollar for the children. An extra dollar for the children, £6-7 can buy a lot. So we are so careful wherever we spend the money, and we're conscious of the fact that donors have donated, that they've put that money in our trust. And so anywhere that we can find value and economise, we will. You know, we need to travel sometimes. You know, it's not a hotel for us. It really is, who are the supporters? Where are they? Are they able to accommodate us in their house? You know, we'll try and take the most inexpensive transportation costs that we can. We have a network of volunteers who we draw off, right? So at the end of the day, we are so conscious of value for money, because at the end of the day, it's the children who are going to benefit.
Sure. So in other words, when you guys go down, you don't stay at the Sheraton.
No,
we've never seen it.
If we have to camp out on the floor, we'll camp out on the floor.
That's
and
nice.
Nermien has done that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's the children who are going to benefit. So we're so conscious of that. And, you know, to be completely honest, and we might touch on this a little bit later, that we have external auditors that come in. We are reviewed by independent not-for-profit evaluators. So there's the largest one in America is called Charity Navigator, and we have the highest 4-star rating from them. Basically, they have given us the highest 4-star rating 4 years in a row for our transparency, our accountability, and for efficient use of resources.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so how can one help, or is it just limited to just paying donations or sending you guys a fee every month?
There's so many ways you can help. 2 main branches. Yes, it's donating money and donating time, and we value each. So with the donating money, one way you can do that is sponsoring a child. And with sponsoring a child, yes, you give us a certain amount each month, But what you'll find as well that's really important with sponsoring a child is the relationship you develop with the child. And that's really, really important for us and really, really important for the child. Because when we focus on the child, we're not only focusing on the child's education, we focus on the education, we focus on really developing a strong character, a strong personality, and we focus on the sense of volunteerism, giving back to the community. And part of that is having a sponsor involved in a relationship with the child through sending letters and communicating and visiting a child, and we can talk about that a little bit later. So that's one way, sponsoring a child and doing that. For some people, it's like, I'd really like to assist, but I cannot commit to sponsoring a child and maintaining that relationship. And they're happy to donate on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. And that goes to supporting the orphans in our program. We've currently got 10,000 orphans all over Egypt who we're working with. And then there are those who'd like to make one-off donations to help, either to support the orphans or to support particular projects or particular needs like urgent housing or medical needs. So that's one way. The other way we can help is donating time, right? And that's, as we said, surf to learn. So coming to Egypt for 3 weeks and volunteering your skills, your time, your love, your talent, whatever it is that you can give to these children, being role models and inspiring them, and it really makes a difference in their lives. Or if you can't make it to Egypt, come and donate your time with Coptic orphans. So we love it when, a volunteer calls and says, look, I've got some spare time, or I've got this particular talent, can we help? We say, sure, come into the office or let's have a chat. Let's see what you can do and how you can help us. And we've had a range of people helping on a range of different things. Whether it's time, whether it's money, both are great. But the most valuable thing we find, is that what we really need is your heart. We really want you, if you're donating money, if you're donating time, you're doing it because you care. You care for the kids in Egypt. You care for your brothers and sisters who aren't as well off as us. You care for I always say this, Egypt has given us our faith. I am so indebted to Egypt for the Coptic Orthodox faith that I have, and I feel that it's time that we give back to the country that has given us so much. We're all one body in Christ, so come, care, give me your heart, look after our brothers and sisters.
Nevine, I want to ask you, there are a lot of people out there who do care, but the problem is some of them are reluctant to serve an organisation like this. Do you have any words of advice or words of wisdom to these people who are still reluctant to serve, even though their heart is in it?
The most important thing is that your heart's in it. That's the most important thing. And when it comes to caring, I think, I was thinking the other day, what's the best example of someone who cares? And I thought, the best example is Jesus Christ himself, our Lord Jesus Christ. When he went around and helped people, he didn't just go and, miracle, 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 miracle. He cared for the individual that was involved. He looked after them. He spoke to them. He, counseled them. He was with them. It wasn't just miracle, miracle, miracle. He helped, he cared, right? And I think it's not enough just to have the intention. It's not enough, I think, just to feel in your heart, yes, I want to help. The real action's in the doing. Come and taste, come and see. We're all in there to help the kids of Egypt. That's what we're here for, right? Come and taste and come and see for yourself. And I guarantee you, especially for those who go to Egypt, especially those who are there for Surf to Learn, they will enjoy and they will see the impact. You can't come to Egypt, sponsor a child. Honestly, I can tell you stories of people who have sponsored a child, and honestly, you think the child benefits? It's the sponsor that truly, truly benefits. We think we're giving. Honestly, we're the ones who are getting. We're the ones who receive.
I actually want to focus on that a bit later on.
Yeah.
We have a question that came in from an audience member. They're asking, I'm a sponsor and I've recently visited my sponsored child in Egypt. I have relatives living abroad. How can they help or donate?
That's an excellent question. Because we're an international organization and we have offices in the United States, in Canada, and the UK, in addition to Australia, any of those countries, they're able to actually have a tax deductible receipt for their donations. And those donations can be processed online. So if anyone goes to our website, copticorphans.org, they're actually able to donate directly from online.
Okay. And what is your website?
copticorphans.org.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're going to go for a quick break, but when we come back, we'll continue our discussion. Just a reminder to our audience, please send your questions to 0416 551 292. Give us a text and we'll answer it for you. If you're courageous enough, give us a call and speak to our lovely guest here tonight. Thank you.
CYC, Christian Youth Channel.
Welcome back to the episode on Ask on Charity Organisations. Where does your money go? So please, if you have questions, send us your questions to 0416 551 292 or give us a call and ask our lovely guests about the Coptic Orphans Organisation. So moving on, I wanted to ask, leading up from the previous question, so when someone donates, for this example, money, how can they get updates that their money is actually helping the person?
Okay, so there's various ways depending on how you donate. So sponsors will be updated with letters from their children and with progress reports from the volunteer reps to let them know how their child is actually progressing through the program. And people really appreciate that because they can see, wow, like, you know, my child's progressing. We had these 2 stories in 1 week where I was actually amazed. It was something so simple, but it was like effective. They said, yeah, we received the letter from the child recently, and we were so amazed at how much the child's handwriting has improved. They actually noticed that. They noticed from the last letter to this letter that the child's handwriting has improved, and they were so proud of their kid. So we get updated by letters. Occasionally we'll get also information from the office in Egypt that we transfer across to the sponsors. We had an example last week, which I actually found very touching. We had a child who had a swelling in his knee. And we contacted the sponsor to let her know that that was the case and, you know, he may need to, you know, go to the hospital, have surgery. As God would have it, the sponsor had exactly the same swelling in the same knee. We couldn't believe it. And the sponsor was so sympathetic to what was going on and asked about the child and sent him some extra money to help with the surgery and stuff like that. And the child was so touched by what happened. We got an email back that basically said, you know, thank you so much, you know, for thinking about us, praying, helping us. We want to know who your intercessor is because we're actually going to light some candles and pray and you know, do, you know, tamgid. And we want to know who your intercessor is. And so this 2-way communication was happening, and I had, you know, Mary, my donor relations, you know, getting in the middle of it. And it was just wonderful to see this one body in Christ working together. And it came from an update in Egypt to the sponsor. And that circle happened. There are, of course, updates through newsletters, through emails. If, for example, people are donating to a particular housing project, they'll see what the house looked like before, what the house looks like after. So we pride ourselves on our accountability and our transparency. And, you know, at the end of the day, we owe it to the donors. You give us your money, you entrust it with us, we owe it to you to be able to show you what we do with it. And of course, there's the typical things like, you know, externally audited financial statements, which are published, you know, on the internet for people to be able to look at.
Sure. Yep. I know we spoke about it briefly before, but I want to go back to the Serve to Loan program because that's what won me over to your organisation, you know. So let's talk more about Serve to Loan. Let's get into more detail on how can a person enter this program and what it's about.
It's very easy. There's an application process actually that they can apply. But I want to tell you the story of Mr. Kevin. Of course, all the volunteers, when they go, they suddenly get the title of Mr. Kevin, Miss Monica, Miss. His mother says to me, and the mother says, البنات or girl circumcision. The volunteers were shocked and they began to think, well, how do we combat these things? What can we do? And these are very difficult issues to deal with. Another issue at another site that they were, it became very apparent, kind of blew them away, was harassment, sexual harassment and sexual abuse within the homes. And so the girls, the older girls, were put in a position to have to talk with the girls of the village to say, if this happens, this is what you can do. And these are the kinds of things, so, you know, you would think you're just going, you're going to teach, and it was so cute because the volunteers were like, we just came to teach English. We don't know how to talk to young girls about sexual abuse and things like that. And the local coordinators, they were like, no, we need you to talk. This is important. And you're in a position that you can talk. You know, you're going to be here and then gone, so you're in a better position. So they did an excellent job, believe it or not. And believe it or not, they had an effect. There was a situation where a young girl knew that her younger brother was going to be abused by a family member. So you know what she did? She was a young girl. You know what she did? She went and hit him. The little kid was so annoyed, he ran after her to hit her back, but she saved him from that relative. And this, again, because of what the volunteers, and they happen to be from Australia, one from Australia, one from the States, and the talk that they had given to the young girls. So come prepared to learn, come prepared to change, and you have to do it. There's no excuse. This January, if anybody is watching, Mina, you make sure this January they go to Egypt, or July. You have two choices.
The choices.
Sure.
Exactly.
We just got a question that just came in from an audience. Going back on the topic on money, they're asking what is the monthly cost to sponsor an orphan?
So sponsorship is a minimum of $50 a month. So we find we need a minimum of $50 to help the program do what it needs to do. So what people need to understand as well is that $50 goes into a pool, right? And from that pool, the children are enrolled in the program, and then what they need is spent on. So the volunteer rep, and this is the beauty, I believe, of Coptic orphans, that it's tailored to the individuals that they go visit. So they'll go into one house and they'll see, okay, all right, this is required, this is what they need in terms of their education, their tutoring. I'll need to spend this amount to be able to assist this child. Another house might be a completely different circumstance. So the reps are trained to be able to use the money really wisely to support the child. So that $50 will go into a pool to support your child and other children within the program.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got a question that came in from the audience member. They're actually asking to play the Surf to Learn clip again. Do you mind if we play the clip again?
That's adorable. Sure.
Okay. Sure, they've missed it, so they want to see it again.
See it again.
All right.
The idea is not to come to Egypt to see, but to come to Egypt to do. It's for 3 weeks, and most of our volunteers are college students. Some are older, young professionals. We have from Canada, from the US, and from Australia.
We come to teach English, but you actually learn a lot more than you serve. You learn to love, you learn innocence, you really bond with the kids.
When I found Coptic,
we get to see the real life of the students and their.
it's amazing. It's such a blessing to get to spend time with these kids and learn from them and to give. These kids learn so much.
أنا في البيت لما بصلي لربنا بقول
from about 10 years or more.
You can do any other service, but getting this close to kids, you won't find it.
I gained an appreciation for everything that God has given me.
You need to come. Join the program. It's amazing.
I wouldn't trade the experience I had for the world.
In return, are we being served also? Are we benefiting from it? Because I don't believe it's just strictly just them that's learning or growing from this experience. So us as youth, when we go over to these countries, these underprivileged countries, can we grow as Christians?
We've had so many volunteers come back. I have a greater appreciation for the people of Egypt. I now understand the meaning of contentment. I know a living example of a life of she was planning on studying fashion and fashion design.
Series of sermons by Father Anthony Masiha.
And I'm just making it easy and say, just hear the Holy Spirit, and that's it.
From St. Timothy and St. Athanasius Church in Arlington.
Man, it's hard stuff, but we need to strive harder. Jesus loves